Yeah, welcome to the official launch of GEG England. This is what we're calling our red carpet event. We're going to obviously run through a quite tight agenda. We've got some Spark sessions going on. Pip's going to talk about his card conundrum, if I can say that correctly. And then
we can roll with that, Matt, for now.
We'll roll with that today. And yeah, and we're just kind of introduce what the aim of GEG England is overall, why you're here, why you're part of this community, and hopefully at the end of it, everyone's still completely on board with where we're going and what the vision is for the GEG. So just kind of a breakdown of, I say, what we're going to cover during the session. The who, what, why, we'll start there, nice and simple. We'll get onto some Spark sessions, card creation challenge, and then our pitch for the future. So I'm going to kind of go through the first bit. We'll hand over to the Spark sessions. Pip was going to take us through the card creation, and then Ollie's going to finish us off with the pitch to the future. So just as a quick introduction to myself, my name's Matthew Harrison. I'm the head of technology for Epping Forest Schools Partnership Trust. I'm a Google trainer, an innovator, and a Canvassador. I could have put a lot more badges on there. Like if I was doing a gifty kind of tactic of having every single badge on there, it would be quite a full screen. But I thought I'd keep with the most important ones in my mind of what I do and what I use on a daily basis. So I'm just going to highlight first of all what our aim is. So our motto, we've gone with the motto of support, share, spotlight. So that's that three kind of keywords that are integral to what we're trying to do and trying to achieve in GEG England. In that support element, we want to get to all of the educators across England and beyond. It's not exclusive to just England, but we are obviously highlighting those within England. And we really want to be able to collaborate with as many people as possible. And you'll see during the call, we kind of see, obviously there's lots of faces on here already that you might recognize, that might be new to you. And during the course of GEG England, I'm sure you get to meet and hear from many of the people here. Pip.
Thanks, Matt. So yeah, I'll introduce myself. So yeah, my name's Pip Bowl or Philip Bowl. It sounds less like just calling myself Pip Bowl, Mr. Worldwide. So I'm a digital learning consultant and specialise in computing and digital strategy. So in the same sort of effect, I'm a Google certified trainer and innovator, and also a Seesaw certified educator and a Common Sense Media ambassador, of which I work a lot with. So thanks, Matt. I've also included all my badges. And just to sort of, in a similar vein to what Matt just discussed, so just to highlight, we are all about sharing. So sharing exceptional teaching and learning and making you just feel whatever it is you want to put out there. We are all ears for hearing about it, and we'd love to promote it and support, building on what Matt said. But really, if it's not about teaching and learning, that is also fine, as I can see people putting in the comments their thoughts on where the north of England is, things like that. So whatever it is you want to share with the group, completely go for it. It's supposed to be a really welcoming space. Thanks, Matt.
Yeah, and finally, I'm Ollie. I'm a technology support officer for Lift Schools. I currently cover 6 schools across the north of England, 4 of them in Hull, 2 of them in northern Lincolnshire. I basically sort of tether the technology side to the teaching and learning, really. So I try and cover that gap between the IT department and the teaching and learning aspects of the role. I'm a Google coach and community ambassador as well, which I've left off my slide, interestingly. Yeah, sue me for that one. Yeah, so that's me, and I'll be the northern accent in this group. And for spotlighting, yeah, basically just to sort of reiterate what Pip said, we want to recognise innovation, empower educators across the country and beyond. Educators are doing some fantastic things at the moment, so we want to spotlight that and share it with each other.
Thanks, Ollie. So you've kind of done it already. Julie's jumped the gun for us and got you to have that conversation in the chat. But what region of England are you in? Let's keep it in the chat. I know some of you have shared it already, but continue to share that and just hopefully then you can kind of see where there are people that you can reach out to, whether they're local, whether they're further away. And we'll link it into when we get to kind of Pip's card challenge, but we'll find out a lot more about what people's, I want to say, responsibilities are, what they're good at, what they're championing in their schools and in their jobs. So just kind of a little breakdown of GEG England, and just to kind of explain where we've got to, the point where we are at the moment. At the moment, we're a group across the country. It's broken down into the north, the south, London, Herts and Essex, and Send. I do apologize, Jamie, I haven't got a photo of you yet, so I will add you to the Send bit. But really, it started with a nudge, I want to say. GEG England started with a nudge that GEG UK was coming to an end, that, could GEG England fill that void to bring the English community together and support others. The first kind of stop I made was to Pip, having that conversation with Pip, saying, Pip, what do you think? Do you think this is something that you and I can kind of facilitate and grow? And again, the goal early on from day one in that conversation was, can we make sure that we represent as much of England as possible? That, we're kind of, at the time Pip was still in London, we're in a very kind of small, tight part of the country, but obviously there's learners, educators all across the country that should be represented. And we started to think about, okay, how can we represent that? With Pip's move to Cornwall, easy, we're starting to represent the South quite easily. Then that brought in Ollie to that whole package as well. So Ollie, I think, is very quite like-minded to Pip and I think has a similar sense of humor. So that was that kind of, let's start to build the North. We're also aware for the future as well that at the moment, very obviously, the Midlands is missing as well. And we're going to keep championing for the Midlands as well, because we think that there's kind of a gap between London, Herts, the South and the North at the moment. There's that kind of big bit in the middle that we don't really have any champions who are yet to kind of put themselves forward to join us. And also importantly, in the background, Peter came to us as well about representing Send. And we think, obviously, with the kind of current nature of Send in the country, that is for sure an area that needs to be represented. Send, I myself work in a trust with a Send school. We know how important it is to have that representation on board. So Peter was that first kind of voice to the table to champion Send. And then likewise, we've also got Jamie, who's joined him along the way as well. So if you visit the GEG England website, you kind of get to see everybody who's in there, a breakdown of exactly what areas they're in, and what they can kind of do to help you and support the community as much as possible. And thank you, Fiona, because you're suggesting some names for us in the chat. So hopefully we can get him on board in the future. So we're going to jump over to the Spark session. So if you're new to Spark sessions, they're kind of short and sweet little sessions about people's passions, whether it's something that's, a Google tool, whether it's something that they're passionate about outside of the community, whether it's some other tech that they're wanting to use in their classrooms and are using in their classrooms. And the two that we've kind of picked to focus on in this session, I want to say do two different tricks. One is very much that outward, something somebody's passionate about outside of schools and education. One is something that somebody's passionate about inside school and education. So we want to give you a flavor of both. I know for some of you, you might have heard some of them previously, but it doesn't mean they're no less important. So I'm going to start with, we've got Charlotte starting for us with her session looking at Brisk. Now, if Charlotte's new to you, she's a bit like an annoying younger sister. She keeps badgering you until you kind of take in what she's saying, and then you finally go, okay, actually what you said is actually quite good. And she gets there. And she gets it.
I start, I've got to shoot off to get to a gig.
Oh,
I think Peter's first, Matt. So I think
okay, fine. Sorry, Peter.
I don't feel bad for pointing it out now. So
it's okay. Do you want me? I'll introduce Peter instead. There you go. So for those who don't know Peter represents Abingdon House, which is a Send school. So Peter and I met during the Google Innovator program, and I know he's kind of a great representation of what Send schools can do with technology. But in this case, I know we're going to hear from something quite different So something more personal to Peter. So Peter, I'm happy for you to take over control of the screen.
Sure. There you go. So, hi everyone. Good to see you all. Yeah, as was said, I'm going to be doing something that isn't actually about technology. And classically, my screen's not working properly. There we go. So I decided that I deserved a nice little slide as well, and I didn't put all my badges on, but I'm an innovator, I'm a certified trainer, and a handful of other badges. However, 6 weekends a year, I'm not me. I don't become myself. I become something different. I take a break of being the IT specialist and the SEN teacher, and I become Darren Haggard. Darren Haggard is a character that I've played for 12 years and is a Viking in live action role play. So this is different from reenactment. I'll explain that in a minute. I basically take on a character and I play it and I love it. It is lovely to not be yourself for a weekend. So is a hobby called LARP, live action role play, and it means something different depending on who you speak to, what system you're part of, or where it is. The system I do is called Curious Pastimes and happens all around the country. And I've been doing it for 12 years now. And in that 12 years, I've played the same character throughout all 12 years. So what is LARP? LARP stands for live action role play. It is a real world game where the participants interact with each other and play characters in a fictional setting. Players take on roles, they act as their characters, they improvise, they become those characters, and all their decisions are made by those characters. There are different themes, and depending on which game you are playing, they can differ drastically. Some games are set in medieval fantasy, some games are set historical fantasy, some games are set in the modern day, some games are set in the future, some post-apocalyptic games are massive at the moment. Interaction is really simple. Players interact with each other as their characters, not themselves. So I may or may not like someone as a person, but that doesn't matter. It's all about the character. I've actually used this in school, and I've done LARP sessions in school where it's really beneficial actually for exploring decision making in different ways. So as I said, different themes and settings. Some scenes are futuristic. LARP weapons are generally made of foam and latex, so you can belt people and not break their faces. In futuristic games, you might use Nerf guns. A lot of the props and a lot of the costumes are highly detailed and movie quality in a lot of places. The first time I saw that, I wandered off into the bushes, and then two little red eyes appeared and terrified me, actually terrified me. Demographics are huge throughout it, and LARPs really can consist of thousands of people to 10 people. As I said, I do a system called Curious Pastimes, which is the second or third largest in the UK. The largest in the UK is 3,000 people in a field at one time. We get 1,000 people. The largest in Europe is around 10,000 people in a field at one time, and that generally lasts all weekend. Structures. There are stories, and it's all about telling a story. Basically, there is world plot that covers everyone in the game. There is faction plot, little groups of people. In TP, there are 8 factions that act together. Each faction then breaks down into groups. So I'm a group called the Wiedemann inside the Wolves. And then there is personal plot. So you could literally get drunk in the tavern of an evening, hit someone, and then that will have fallout the next day. Actions have consequences, and it is great. You are a character between 10 in the morning and 2 in the morning, and that runs all the way through that time. Some games even run 24-hour, and they can be some of the most immersive, where you are sleeping in character and you are worrying about those decisions all the time. Commonly asked questions. Is it a kink? No, it is not a kink. Is it the same in reenactment? No. I get to wear pants and proper boots. Do you play to win? No, it's all about telling a collaborative story. It really is about the story. There is no winning at LARP. Do you play the same character? Yes, in most games, as I said, I played the same character in Curious Pastimes for the past 12 years. If I went to another system, I would play a different character in it. One of the key things from this, and it's one of the things that really makes it stand out from things like role play games, Dungeons and Dragons, you can only run as fast as you can run. You can only fight as well as you can fight. You can only tell a story as well as you can tell a story. These things really help ground the system and ground the game and keep it relative to you. You know what? Sometimes it's just nice to go away for a weekend and to not be yourself. And it really is nice to have a hobby where you can just take a break and not have to think about anything. That has been my little Spark session on LARP. I am now going to leave you all. I hope the rest of the meeting goes really well. If anyone would like to do LARP, just reach out to me and I'll put you in contact in the right places.
Thanks, Peter. And I'm sure that's going to be a future GEG England event, right?
I mean, I've got enough kit to fit everyone out in the chat, plus others. So let's make that happen.
So, like I said, I just wanted to reiterate. So it's the two sides of what we're trying to achieve here with GEG England. I'll say that social element, that fun element, that creative element that doesn't necessarily is part of our day job. And then we're going to hand over to Charlotte. And I'm not going to do a reintroduction. I've done it for you already. But again, feel free to take over the slide deck, Charlotte.
Thank you. And I love the introduction that Peter got compared to me. So thank you for that. So what I am going to be showing you brisk teaching. Now, I know some of you already know about brisk, and whether you've used it or not, or whether you have no idea about it, it's a pretty cool tool, and it's one that I'm passionate about right now. So I'm going to just talk to you a little bit about it, and then we're going to do a bit of interactive thing where you get to experience it from a student point of view. But just from the screen, you can see that it will work with our Google Workspace platform. So Google Docs, slides, but also YouTube, articles, websites. And it is free. There is an upgrade through, obviously paying, but a lot of it is free and it works as a Google extension. So obviously these slides will be shared with you. I will share the link as well, so you guys can have a go of it later on. And so YouTube videos, any article, website, it just works as a Google extension. It's always there. And as soon as you press brisk, I think we even saw brisk being shown on some of the slides earlier. You can see that little brisk sign popping up on slide decks. So some of the things that it does, you can obviously give feedback. Some of that is in the paid platform, but you can give some feedback through the free platform, where it will automatically give comments to students based on their Google Doc works. You can inspect writing, and that is really useful for seeing if the student has just copied and pasted all of their work, or if you want to just very quickly see a sped up version of version history on Google Docs. You can do it by like 1 time scale live typing, or you can times it up to 100, and it will even flag up potential parts where there are large copy and paste jobs for the students. So that's one way that you could check that, say, homework or online work has not just been copied and pasted. Obviously, it can create a lot of things. So from quizzes, so Google Forms, it can make Google Forms with answers instantly. It can create lesson plans. Basically, any resource you can think of, as long as you type in the right prompt, it can create it. And it can change the level and translate to some languages. So you could change it to it is American. So if you wanted it in, say, it was a year 9, but they're reading at, say, maybe a year 6 level, then the American grading system is 1 below. So you would put it to a grade 5 for the year 6, and it will just translate everything and make a new doc that you can immediately share with students. So what we're going to try and do is do one of the extra steps in Brisk, which is called a Brisk Boost. So I don't know how familiar you are all with Macbeth, but as I am an English teacher and media teacher, I thought let's combine both of my other 2 passions. And I'm just going to show you a short clip from Macbeth voiced and acted by Homer Simpson, you know, that real character that it sounds like this is an actor. Anyway, Homer acting the role of Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 5. And we are going to just have a little bit of immersion boost session where you will learn about the soliloquy with an AI tutor. So first of all, just have a listen to and watch of the video I'm about to play for you. Once I get my mouse back, because it's disappeared. Always good when tech goes well. And I've lost my mouse. I'm going to mute myself.
Perhaps you can act it out for us, Charlotte.
Welcome to the world of teaching, guys. So,
turning it off and turning it back on again.
yeah, I'm going to try refreshing. There it is. Right, just do thumbs up if you can hear it.
Tomorrow, and tomorrow, and tomorrow creeps in this petty pace from day to day, to the last syllable of recorded time, and all our yesterdays have lighted fools the way to dusty death. Out! Out, brief candle! Life's but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more.
Homie, you were brilliant. I knew you could do it. I knew it.
So, as you saw there, this is, you know, Homer Simpson acting out Macbeth after his wife has died, near the end of the play. And so what I would like you to do now, I'm going to share the link, or if you've got your phone handy or a with anything camera, you can do the QR code, or you can, I'm just about to copy and paste it into the chat. You can press this link, and what you'll see is, hopefully in a moment, it'll ask you to type in your name, and on the right hand side it should ask you, I can see some of you have joined, fantastic. And I'll show you what the teacher can see in a moment after you've had a chance. And on the right hand side, you should get the chance to engage with it and start asking questions to the tutor. Let's see. So if I give you an idea of what it should look like, I've already been having a conversation with this. So on the right hand side, you should be able to see something where you can chat with it, and it will start asking you questions. And the students can see their learning objectives and whether they've met them or not. As a teacher, I can see, so I'm just going to share this tab. This is what the teacher would be able to see, who's joined and the progress they're making. So let's have a little bit of a challenge to finish this off. Of I won't ask who can get to 3 first, but within 1 minute, who can get the furthest on the learning objectives. But Matt Harrison, I can see if you type in rude words. So, little exclamation mark there. Okay, good. So I can see a few people are on learning objective 1. So the AI at that point thinks that you're working towards learning objective 1. Oh, Fiona has succeeded on learning objective 2. Dave skipped ahead to 3, so well done there. Who's going to be the first person to be able to complete 2 of the objectives? Now, obviously, if you want to see the objectives, in the top right above the tutor, there's a drop down, and you will be able to see what. So it looks a bit like this in the top right, and you should be able to see your own objectives.
I've just typed in. I think I'm a bit stuck.
That's all
And
right,
it
Jeff.
responded quite well with some handy hints.
Yeah,
So yeah, if you don't know, just be like, I don't know.
we're struggling as primary school teachers.
Now, Kat has just pasted some content into the chat. So whether we are doing that as her learning objective being met or not is how we are deciding AI. We can view it. We just life's but a walking shadow signifies the ephemeral and ultimately meaningless nature of human existence. It does, Kat, doesn't it?
I might have written that, maybe.
We're seeing the thing of Frisk. So I've used this a few times as a sort of a introduction to the students, or like as in like learning something, watching a YouTube video, and then interacting with this rather than doing an in-class quiz, just to see if they have paid attention during the video. But it could be based on, you can make a boost on anything, and then I would argue that after the learning objectives have been met, maybe doing a bit of exam practice or whatever your end goal is, or maybe something more creative now that they've done that learning. Now, Dave has just reached all 3 learning objectives. So well done, Dave. And I think that is a good time to end. Although, do we want to see what Matt Harrison put that
No.
call statement? No? No? Okay, fine. I'll save that one for later. Maybe post it into the...
I didn't put any swear words, I promise.
Should we have a look then?
I was just getting frustrated with it.
something dark side. Okay. Oh no, it wasn't flagging up. Maybe it just was worried about your well-being in a safe point of view. And I'm going to stop sharing. You could take back over.
Thanks for putting me on the spot there, Charlotte.
Don't get the plagiarism. No, actually not the plagiarism. That was the... Thanks, guys. And if anyone wants to know anything more about Brisk, please just reach out on GEG England chat, and I'm happy to send things, resources, etc.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlotte. Thank you for sharing. So I say in the future, we hope to do more of those kind of events anyway, more Sparks. You know, we'll get towards the end of the day, we'll share some of the, I won't say future dates, what we're planning in the future around Sparks, around sharing Google resources, around sharing other events. So I am going to fully hand over to Pip now.
Cool. Thank you very much, Matt. So as it's been mentioned at the beginning of this, I am going to be taking you through something called a card challenge. So the idea of the card challenge itself, you can see my extension just popping up. Thank you so much for that, Charlotte. Is we are going to put you back on the spot. I know probably some of you have just, if you had a similar experience to me, you just found that quite challenging. I think, as Matt mentioned, being primary level is a bit different. But we're going to put you back on the spot and try and get a bit creative. So our starting point for this is looking at essentially creating a series of trading cards. So I've got my one here from the Amsterdam Innovator Academy. And when we were in Amsterdam, we were all given a physical card like this with our picture. And the idea being that you would go around and you would meet other people and you would share your fun facts with them. And that would be your conversation starter. So very in line with what we're trying to achieve through GEG England is this concept of spotlighting, and therefore the concept here of having a spotlight series of cards. So what we'd like to do across our social media across our social media, across the Google for Education site, we'd love to populate it with the community, the people who are special, and make GEG England what it is. So that would be all of you. So the challenge is going to be to create this deck of cards. So firstly, thinking about the creative element of what they might look like. And this is one that we have created between myself, Ollie and Matt, but by all means, it's open to change. And we do want to use all of the ideas you have. So to make your card successful today, we are going to set some parameters before you go away and you have a go at making it. So what we are asking for is that you include a photo on it. You include your role and location. Just something really open, like your interests. So I've put surfing, snowboarding, mountain biking, van life, and rugby. I've fallen out of love a little bit of rugby at the moment due to an injury, but interest, like Peter, for example, it might be about LARPing. It's about something that makes you unique. And then come find me for is something that's more maybe specific to this community. So enhancing learning and outcomes with technology. And then a fun fact, that might be something that just sets you out, another conversation starter, and our social media at the bottom as well. So how we're going to get started with this, it's essentially a 3-step plan with this challenge. Today, you're going to have a little bit of a go at starting your creation. So you can choose to use the one that we've set. You might just edit that and send it back to us. Or you can use Canva, a few ambassadors within this who would certainly be going to do that to create their challenge. Or you can go to Google Slides and do it. You might even use Adobe. And then the next step of this challenge is we are going to give you a week from today, so up until March the 27th, to put in your submission. And then much like all good challenges, there is going to be a prize. There is going to be a winner that is selected. So next Friday, just as you break up for Easter, we are going to be sending out this and letting you know on our Instagram who has won this prize. And from there, we are going to take whatever creation it is and roll that across the whole Google for Education Spotlight Series cards. So if I just show you here, in a moment, I'll give you the link for this, but everyone, this is going to be your starting place. So you are going to be joining through the GEG England trading cards Google form. And if I just take you through it, because some of you might start today and continue later, it tells you why we're doing them, breaks down the challenge for you here. And then underneath, an example of this card. And then in addition to this, we have name, email, role, region, what your interests are, what we can come to you for, a fun fact, and then please may you upload a headshot, what music you'd like to accompany your social media post. So we had the great idea, well, Matt and Ollie came up with the idea that when we post these online, it'd be amazing to have some music to go with them. And then you can drop a link to your file here. And underneath, as always, we've just asked for some consent because these are going to go up onto the GEG England site and they will also go onto social channels. So we really want your support with that. So what I'll do is I'll drop this link into the chat and you can get started. There are 2 templates that you can get going with. There's a Canva link, which will take you straight into viewing our files. And from there, you can just go and edit, create, change it however you want. And then there's a slides template too, so you can get started that way. So what I'll do, I'll copy this chat, copy this link.
Is it worth just saying, Pip, that we're happy if people want to use the Canva link, they can just add and copy our one and add to that?
Absolutely, yeah, great point, Matt. Just as I've sort of magpied the idea from the Innovator Academy, if you want to just use that and put and populate it with your information, really what we want is to know a little bit about yourself so we can put spotlight on you. But if you want to throw a bit of creativity to you in it, then there is some prizes that you can possibly win as well. So I'll drop in the chat and then I'll also put in the bit.ly link as well so you can keep coming back to that. But I think we're just going to give you a bit of time now to get started with it.
Pip, with so with this, just clarifying, if people don't actually want to create something new, we can still just obviously fill in the Google form and not add that file at the bottom. So as in, so we have all the information of everyone.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, thank you, Charlotte.
I also just found these gems, so yeah, keep them all safe.
At least the best one's on top.
Yeah, that one. Yeah, usually just like don't include that in the deck. So yeah, I think you collected them all first, Matt, didn't you?
Of course, Tracy. I'll make sure we'll put it out on our Instagram as well, just reminding you all of the challenge taking place. And then, yeah, hopefully, if you submit, we'll let it go to some adjudicators, and we'll make a choice about what format we're going to use going forward, and then we'll hopefully get a little prize or something out to you.
So we're hoping you didn't find that too awkward, that experience. I mean,
Schoolboy error. You put me in a breakout room with Stuart and Eve. We just
hey, I didn't select them. You know, it was fate.
Right. So thank you for coming back in. We'll make sure, as it's been mentioned, that the entire challenge itself will be continued from here. So you'll have an opportunity to, yeah, get it completed and be able to put something in. But right, Ollie, we'll hand over to you now just to round this up for us. Very much looking forward to hearing what you'll pitch.
Thank you. It's our pitch, isn't it? It's our pitch. Our pitch for GEG England for the future.
There we go.
Are you laughing at the new glasses, Matt? The costume change mid-session?
No, I'm just laughing at you. Sorry.
Right. Okay. Well, I'll give you the pitch. Right. So away we go. So this is my northern accent that I'm adding to the GEG England group because we've just had southerners so far. So I just thought I'd add a little bit of equality. I'm here to talk about the future, but let's be honest, guys. The future of education's happening now, isn't it? Classrooms are evolving, and how does that fit in with us at GEG England? We've said it before, and I'll say it again. It's the supporting, sharing, and spotlighting. We've touched on it already briefly, but our mission statement's also our pitch to the future. So at GEG England, we believe in supporting, because no educator should go it alone. We're going to provide training that makes sense. We'll break down Google tools so educators can use them and not just know that they exist. We'll talk about AI, accessibility more and more than that. We'll be supporting educators using AI and accessibility tools to reach each one of our pupils. We'll create a community. We're not just a manual here. Tech companies have help documents, but we've got real educators at GEG England and sharing solutions that actually work. We've seen from Brisk already, which leads nicely into the second point of sharing, because education is not just a solo journey. By harnessing the sharing power of GEG England, we can aspire to create an environment where ideas can flourish, allowing educators to avoid reinventing the wheel. We'll use Google tools from shared drives and AI-powered collaboration in docs and slides that can help us work smarter, and social learning in action, where we can learn from each other and where we learn from each other more than we'd learn in any webinar. And at GEG England, let's make sharing a second nature. I mean, drawing from my recent experiences, the most effective PD doesn't take place in a CPD session. It takes place in a WhatsApp chat or a Google space 5 minutes before the school day starts. The ability to share knowledge within our community will be truly invaluable. And point 3 is going to be spotlighting, because brilliant education deserves to be seen. So some educators are doing incredible things, but as humans, we often fail to share our bright spots. So I think at GEG England, we should fix that. We want to recognise innovation, and we'll showcase the educators who are using tech in game-changing ways. We want to empower educators. We'll encourage educators to step up, present, and share their expertise and their bright spots. We want to build a culture of celebration, because when we shine a light on great teaching, we hope to inspire more of it. Future education is about technology alone. It's about the educators who use it. So to wrap up, at GEG England, our future is in good hands, and that's your hands. Our job at GEG England is to support, share, and spotlight the people making a difference, and that means you. So thanks, guys. I'll pass over to Matt, who will wrap up the session.
Are you sharing the future dates?
Am I sharing the future dates? Are they provisional future dates? I can share them. Can you? Have
Yeah.
you got them on the? Have you got them on the screen?
No. There you go.
So we've got some provisional future dates for next events. 12th of May, we're looking at Google top tips and favourite tools from the community. GEG 2 is going to be hosted by Charlotte and Emma with a pub quiz on the Thursday, the 5th of June. And GEG 3, we're hoping to arrange an in-person meet-up with the date to be announced. But we look forward to having everybody there if they can get there.
And obviously, just to add to that, they're not the only dates. I'm sure there'll be other ones. we're hoping in the future to have perhaps more regionalized dates as well. Whether it's London, Herts and Essex, the north, the south, wherever it is, where we can again facilitate more in-person sessions, meetups, visits to schools, open days, whatever it is, we're open to hear. So just as Ollie said about spotlighting everybody, if you've got an idea of something that you think would be a really good event, something that we can, host through the lens of GEG England, then, let us know.
Absolutely.
So I think we're just opening it up very briefly before we close the session, just to, if there are any questions that are out there in the community, then please feel free to ask them. You can ask them in chat. If you want to use your voice, you're more than welcome. Pip just constantly cracking up on the screen.
I was just reading the comments. Me and the dog. I rate that, Tim. Sounds great.
Matt, could you just go back one slide, just because I'm trying to note those dates down? Thanks.
There you go.
Cheers.
Thanks, Charlotte.
Just to reiterate, these are just provisional dates as well. They're not set in stone as yet, but obviously, once those dates are firmed up, we'll make sure that everybody's aware.
Yeah, thanks, Ollie. It's just helpful to get those in the diary so we can block it out. Thanks.
And obviously, if there is anyone who is wants to then look into the sort of regional gigs as well and reach out to any of the co-leaders. So, Peter with Send, Pip with the South, Matt, Emma, myself for London, Herts and Essex, Kim possibly Midlands, Ollie up north. And so if you wanted to sort of actually go to see what schools are in the gigs or going to be joining them, to maybe even have easier in-person meetups, that's one of the reasons that we were thinking about, obviously started up the regional gigs as well, to be able to meet up in person a little bit easier sometimes. So just reach out to us, and then you could obviously be part of GEG England and the regional and themed gigs as well.
Yeah, thanks, Charlotte. Yeah, and just to reiterate with the dates of what Ollie was saying, we're pretty confident with them, but we'll just obviously send out an email just to confirm that these are the future dates. Obviously, with the first event, we'll be looking predominantly for a variety of speakers in the community to come and share what their favorite Google tools are, what's the thing that they go to in their schools, the first thing that they want to share. I've already got mine in my head, so I'm quite happy. And often I think the one I want to choose doesn't always get highlighted, so I'm pretty confident with my one. But yeah, we'll be open to that. So are there any other questions? Anybody want to share, comment? Emma?
Can I ask a googly question while we've got a collective here who might actually know the answer? I don't know if anyone saw that Notebook LM is now one of the core Google services. Does anyone know? Does that mean if it's 13 plus in the UK now?
Not yet.
I don't think so. No.
Okay, never mind. What is the difference? What does it mean if there is a core service?
I think there are things coming that might change that.
I thought I had the same thought. I wondered if this was that. Yeah, that's cool. Thank you.
So we will wrap it up then. We will say thank you for spending your Thursday evening with GEG England. Hopefully we'll see many of your faces again. I'm sure we will. And I say, there'll be lots of events in the future, and you'll see us at various in-person events. Come and say hello. And say, who to contact. You've seen the faces. You've heard some of the people speaking. I don't know, Pip and Ollie, I'm just filling time. I don't know if you want to say any last words.
I think I feel very roused from Ollie's speech, actually. I thought it was wicked. It's really good. So yeah.
Can you repeat that word?
I just think it was very excellent, Ollie.
Okay, good.
So yeah, just thank you and welcome to everyone, really. I think is a perfect way to finish.
Cheers, guys. No, nothing else to add. Yeah, brilliant. Really, really excited for the future and working together.